Imagine this. A masked man defies the government, assaults federal officers, helps fugitives escape, and causes billions in property damage. Sounds like a dangerous criminal, right? Now, what if I told you that man is Captain America, Steve Rogers, the ultimate hero, the symbol of justice, the living embodiment of patriotism? But here's the big question. Can you be a hero and a criminal at the same time? Because let's be real, Cap has broken a lot of laws. He's ignored international treaties, resisted arrest, fought law enforcement, and even gone to war with his own government. If anyone else did what he did, they'd be locked up for life. So today, we're throwing the shield aside and putting Captain America on trial. If the legal system treated him like an ordinary citizen, how long would he really be in prison? The answer might just shock you. And trust me, it only gets worse from here.
You're not gonna stop.
You know I can't.
Captain America, the ultimate patriot, but also a lawbreaker. Can you be both a hero and a criminal? Steve Rogers started as the perfect soldier, a weak but determined kid who became a super soldier, fought Nazis, and took down Hydra. He was the government's golden boy, following orders and saving the world. But here's where things get tricky. Justice and the law don't always go hand in hand. At first, Steve played by the rules, but then he didn't. When he found out SHIELD was infiltrated by Hydra, he went rogue. When the world demanded that superheroes be held accountable, he said, no thanks. And when his best friend Bucky was on the run, Steve ignored every law in the book to protect him. So what do you think? A hero doing what's right, or a vigilante breaking the law? Because from here on out, his rap sheet only gets worse. Let's set the scene. The world has just watched the Avengers leave a trail of destruction. From New York to Sokovia, from Washington, D.C. to Lagos. Governments step in and say, enough. The Sokovia Accords are created, a set of international laws designed to regulate superheroes. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, not to Steve Rogers. The Accords required superheroes to register and operate under government supervision. Iron Man, Black Widow, and most of the Avengers agreed. But Captain America, he flat out refused. And here's where things get illegal. By rejecting the Accords, Steve became an international fugitive. He ignored a legally binding agreement signed by 117 nations. And when the government tried to detain Bucky, Cap didn't argue. He fought, resisting arrest, assaulting officers, obstructing justice. These are serious crimes, adding decades to his sentence. Now put yourself in the jury's seat. If some random guy ignored the law, fought cops, and helped fugitives escape, wouldn't they be behind bars? And just wait, because this isn't even the worst of his crimes. Let's play a game. Imagine you're a law enforcement officer ordered to arrest a known fugitive. You approach him, tell him to come quietly, and bam, he knocks you out cold with a vibranium shield. Sounds pretty bad, right? Well, that's exactly what Steve Rogers did, multiple times. Cap has fought more government agents than some villains, SHIELD agents, special forces, even the Avengers. And in the real world, that means serious jail time. Let's be clear, this isn't just self-defense. These were lawful officials acting under legal authority. And in the real world, attacking a federal officer carries a penalty of up to 20 years per offense. Considering how many agents, soldiers, and cops Cap has fought, that number adds up fast. Now let me ask you, if an ordinary guy punched one police officer, he'd be doing serious time. So what happens when Captain America takes on an entire squad? And believe it or not, we're still not done, because next, we need to talk about his most questionable crime yet. Okay, let's do a quick thought experiment. Imagine you have a best friend. You grew up together, fought side by side, and would do anything to protect each other. Now imagine that friend is accused of multiple assassinations, including killing a world leader. Do you A, let law enforcement handle it and hope for a fair trial? B, break him out of custody, fight off authorities, and go on the run together? If you picked B, congratulations. You just made the same choice as Captain America. Let's talk about Bucky Barnes, aka the Winter Soldier. Sure, we know he was brainwashed, but the legal system doesn't just let people walk free because they were mind-controlled. Instead of turning Bucky over and working with the authorities, Steve attacked law enforcement, destroyed property, and became a fugitive himself. And it wasn't just Bucky. After defying the Sokovia Accords, Cap went on the run with Scarlet Witch, Falcon, Hawkeye, and Ant-Man, all of whom were also considered criminals. That's textbook aiding and abetting, which in the US can get you up to 15 years per crime. And considering he helped multiple fugitives, his sentence would stack up fast. So let's ask the hard question. If a normal person harbored a dangerous fugitive, fought off police, and helped others escape justice, what would happen to them? Exactly. They'd be locked up for life. And we're still not done, because next, we're adding property destruction to the list. Let's talk about destruction. because if Captain America has one thing in common with supervillains, it's the sheer amount of damage he leaves behind. Now, we all love an epic fight scene, but have you ever stopped to think about how much it costs to repair a city after one of Cap's battles? Let's break it down. Washington, D.C., Winter Soldier. Steve takes down 3 SHIELD helicarriers, causing them to crash into the city. Estimated damages, billions of dollars. Germany, Civil War. A full-blown Avengers fight at an airport, leading to massive destruction of government property, including airplanes and terminals. New York, Sokovia, Lagos, you get the point. In real life, destruction of government property can land you 10 years per offense, and that's just for one incident. Large-scale damages? Those could lead to life in prison if they resulted in deaths or severe injuries. Now let me ask you, if a normal person blew up a military base, wrecked a city, and caused billions in damages, would they walk free? Didn't think so. And yet somehow, Captain America is still walking around as a free man. But don't worry, his biggest crime is coming up next: treason. Alright, let's get serious. Of all the crimes Captain America has committed, this one might be the most unforgivable, because at the end of the day, Steve Rogers didn't just ignore the law, he actively fought against the very government he once swore to protect. Think about it. He refused to sign the Sokovia Accords, an international law backed by 117 nations. He directly disobeyed orders from the US government, choosing to operate as a vigilante instead. He physically fought US and international forces, helping fugitives evade capture. Now let's talk treason. In the United States, treason is defined as waging war against the government or aiding its enemies. While Steve wasn't working for a foreign power, he actively resisted government authority, attacked law enforcement, and ignored international law. In some interpretations, that could qualify as high treason. And the punishment? Well, let's just say the US doesn't take treason lightly. The maximum sentence? Life in prison, in some cases, the death penalty. So now, we have to ask, has Captain America gone from being the country's greatest hero to its greatest outlaw? And just wait, because now it's time for the final verdict. Alright, let's tally this up. Captain America's rap sheet is massive, and if the law treated him like any other citizen, here's what he'd be facing. Obstruction of justice, 5 years. Assaulting federal officers, 20 years per offense, and he's done this a lot. Aiding and abetting criminals, 15 years per fugitive destruction of government property, 10 years per incident. High treason, life in prison, or worse, by conservative estimates, at least 200 plus years in prison. If the court stacked his sentences, he'd never see the outside of a cell again. But what do you think? Should Captain America be locked up? Or does saving the world give him a free pass? So there you have it. Captain America, the hero, and the wanted criminal. If the law applied to him like everyone else, he'd be serving multiple lifetimes behind bars. But now it's your turn. Do you think Cap deserves to be jailed, or should heroes be above the law? Let's debate in the comments.